Oh, now it's good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Oh, I can hear you perfect.
Awesome. Now I can as well. Cool. Let's do that then.
Good deal.
So, like you were saying, how are you doing?
I'm doing amazing, actually. I'm doing quite well. Work is good. It's keeping me busy, and I'm able to pay my bills and have my toys and go out and have my fun. Yeah, I can't complain at all.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I've heard someone told me, Santa Claus told me that you have three big lessons to share with people. We're gonna unpack them slowly. No pressure. Whatever you want to share, whatever you got from this whole secure man journey, right?
Right. Right.
So no hurry. We have like 20 minutes, half an hour at most. But yeah, I've heard you have some good lessons for people to learn. Huh?
Yeah, I believe so. Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of funny because I've been finding an awful lot of those people around me lately that seem to need to hear those lessons.
Mm,
Yeah, I think the big, like when we went through your journey and through your school, um, it was an eye opener, and it really wasn't about the knowledge; it was more of the understanding of how things really kind of work. It was almost as if, you were there chronicling, our relationships, because, you just made it so clear. Um, I think the first where I'd like to start is one was the big change for me was definitely the neediness, the over affection that we find in relationships. About not putting ourselves first. Really going out of our way to make that other person happy, and finding out that you expect that reaction of affection in return, and it just doesn't seem to work out that way. At first it does, but then, after time, it kind of starts to wear out. Well, then, you see that pattern over and over again. Because that's what I was always taught growing up. You fight for what you want, and you make it work. But having a better understanding of how that works, you find yourself, needing those things and to validate yourself in your own relationship, and in your life, and so you put that relationship ahead of everything else, and you really start to sacrifice, your own happiness for that. So I think that first shift was that really became, overcoming that neediness and understanding, where it really comes from, that of fear, which uh, that first shift, it was quite remarkable. And even at first, it was kind of like, well, how is this really going to help me? But it starts to make sense over time. And you kept saying, just be patient. Eventually you'll see the big picture.
yeah.
Not to cut off. I'm
So
seeing a poor network connection.
yeah, there is a bit of that. I lost you for a few seconds, but you were talking about the fear and where that is coming from, and I lost you there. Did you want to say?
Yeah, the fear was, that eventually what creates that neediness. We're seeing, you kind of taught us about that fear of how, it really is just an illusion, but you fear that losing that relationship. You fear that, you know, it's all going to be over. You're not seeing the big picture at that point, and so it keeps you, locked in this madness, and eventually you end up, really sacrificing your own happiness. Like I did in my situation, where I was just doing everything I possibly could to make that other person happy
Yeah. So
for
let me
fear of
stop.
losing them. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to hear a bit of your story because people don't know like what's
Oh yeah.
why did you reach out? Was your situation?
Well, obviously I had gone through, a really bad breakup, and that's kind of where I think people start to sometimes you either start to look at yourself like what's really going on here, or you don't. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like maybe it was. I don't want to say like a destiny, but sometimes I believe that things come in your life at the right time when you need it. And I just happened to come across you, on Facebook and listen to your seminar that you did, and kind of did a little research, and it just maybe kind of sounded like the right thing. We talked and we had our session, and So I went through this bad breakup, and I was trying to figure out what, what went wrong, because,
Yeah.
I noticed there's a pattern here, and I was kind of tired of it. And yeah, so the pattern was I was always just giving up too much of myself and not following my own joy, putting that relationship above everything else. And so, yeah, had a big understanding. So, but like I said, but that's what brought me here initially.
So how were you feeling before doing this work, and when you were looking for those answers?
Um, you know how it is. I think most people who are in this situation or in that situation, they know that, it feels like it's the end of the road. The tunnel is always the darkest. You're not really seeing, the light, or what, you just want to either get back with that person, or you just kind of, do what people do when they break up. But, it felt pretty miserable. That was one thing I can attest to. But, even at first I was kind of skeptical, like, well, how is this, going to really kind of help my situation and change me? And, like I said, you explain it in a way that just kind of makes it click. And, that's when I kind of knew, that we were having some, like you like to say, good alignment. So,
Yeah.
so, and then slowly but surely it started to change, as we went through the mindset shifts and had a better understanding, and did the work. It really did start to make sense, and it really kind of uplifts your attitude, and I noticed that with the group, even, the other guys really kind of come in with a little kind of sour and down, like, like myself. And then really by the end, really was kind of, we're pumped and motivated to, like, let's get back out there and, live this life, follow our joy. So, which is a good message to preach. So I've definitely been out there preaching the gospel of following your joy.
Wow. So
So
are you wearing that shirt now?
I am not. It's actually in the wash because I wore it, kind of out on a date over the weekend.
Cool.
And yeah, so yeah. So,
But
but I wanted to have it on, believe me. It's just I didn't get around to it.
wow.
So,
But
so awesome.
another. Go ahead.
Fits well. I'm just saying, it fits well. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. So for people to understand, I at the end of the whole Secure Men School, I sent a shirt with "Follow Your Joy" on it, which is a really cool shirt. And you guys deserved it. You earned it. You're ready for it, and now you know what the meaning of that is, and how it and what "Follow Your Joy" actually means in the context of the relationship. Because it can sound simple at this point, but actually you have to have that understanding to really understand what it means to follow your joy,
Yeah.
and even to be able to follow your joy. So I love I love that you said that you're preaching the gospel of follow your joy. That's interesting.
It just makes sense. Well, and that's like you said, it didn't really make sense at first, and that's really kind of the hardest part, I think. After coming through the journey, I don't want to cut you off or anything, is trusting that and just knowing that, I'm going to follow what makes me happy, because you still want to kind of fall into your old ways once in a while, your old way of thinking. But once, but now you have a better understanding, I have a better understanding, I'd like to say, or think that, now I can, kind of see what's going on. Before I didn't really get it. It was kind of had a blind eye to it. So, but now I'm really making that conscious decision of following my joy and doing what makes me happy first. And it sounds kind of selfish, but really it makes me happy. So it's happiness back, because that's what I've been out there showing. So I don't know if that makes sense, but but yeah, follow my joy, doing things that make me happy.
Well, and that may sound like a simplistic way to explain things, but and are you in a relationship right now?
I'm not, but I've been on multiple dates, and I'm not really, because I'm not settling for a relationship like I probably would have. I would have found someone and would have tried to make it work, just based on the fact that maybe just wanting to be in a relationship. But now it's like now I'm actually, I know what qualities I'm looking for because, we went through this, the section on boundaries and standards and I had those before. Maybe I would have sacrificed a lot of them to just, be in a relationship, but
Yeah. So you
no.
see, that's really the meaning of. I mean, the thing with follow your joy, people may hear this and be like, yeah, yeah, okay, I get it. No, I don't need to do the work, and that would be a huge misunderstanding on their part, because it's not as simple. It's actually, you have to understand what it means to follow your joy, which is what you're doing now. Like, you're selecting the people. So your joy is telling you that, hey, this woman is not a good fit for me. So you're not gonna jump in just with anybody because you just want a relationship. You actually want joy. You want, like, you know what you want. So by following your joy, the way this applies in the dating process for you is that you're being very selective. You finally respect yourself enough to be selective, not just jump for a relationship, right?
Correct.
That's that. The other thing is that people need to understand that follow your joy. I mean, that's really the last thing I teach you guys. After you've done this
Right.
whole mindset work, you overcame the neediness, like it's become very clear, and then we really link it to this phrase that really symbolizes everything you've gone through, uh, and really the value that you, Chris, even are gonna experience of this idea of following your joy, of changing the mindset, is when you're going to have a relationship, like within the relationship, when you let, what feels good for you, what is good for you, be the guide, not what is going to please your partner, even if that means sacrificing your well-being. So in a way, that means don't sacrifice your happiness to keep the girl, because this way you're actually pushing the girl away.
Right. And,
Anyway.
and that's the situation I came out of, and that really made me realize that. So go ahead.
Yeah. Cool. So, I mean, you're the star here. I'm just explaining some stuff.
Yeah.
But
No, I like it.
so the lesson you said was the first lesson. What was your first lesson that you shared? Kind of
It was
summarizing.
it was kind of really overcoming, understanding more the neediness, the neediness spiral, like you say, comes from, from that attachment. Really, understanding that was really the first mindset shift that I really had. Just kind of really seeing and pinpointing kind of where that's always, been the case and where that always shifts to, I always have this confidence, about life, and I always have this confidence going into relationship and bring relationships and, people close to me. But then when you get into that and you start to become attached to that situation, it really makes you want to keep it, and you have this need for it, and this, you have all this happiness involved in it. And that's kind of where I started to make the first mindset shift, and realizing that it's really not about that being attached to that outcome, because you can still, like you said, you can still love, this person and be with them without, like you said, the whole thing is joy, but having that joy together, and is what keeps you together. And if it's not there, then it's okay to lose them, and that was the first, like, really mindset shift, getting over that neediness part.
Yeah. I love
So
that you said at some point in the beginning of this call, you said, it's not about the knowledge, it's about the understanding that you had. So that's what many people don't understand, is that they think, okay, they need to learn a lot more. So it's not about learning new information, it's really about understanding, actually. And that's what happened through this work, is understanding that you are worthy, understanding that it's okay to lose someone. It's actually fine. It's actually great to lose someone, if it's no longer a good fit. So cool. So what would you say is the second lesson?
I'd say the second lesson that really that stood with me was the fear lesson. Just a fear of that loss, fear of just, is things going to work out? Are they not? That causes all that anxiety, just that whole fear, like you call it the fear dragon. It just, it awakens, and it makes you, do a lot of crazy things and think a lot of things that aren't real, and in the relationships. And in the end, you end up losing them anyways, because of that fear. So that was that was like the second big shift was, I like how you explained it. once was, taking these glasses off where you're looking through these glasses and we always see is the storm ahead, but really it's not, and that really resonated with me, really stuck with me. And so now it's like I'm not afraid, if I'm talking to someone and they don't like me, I'm not afraid that they don't like me, or afraid that, oh, this girl isn't going to date me because, or whatever. It doesn't matter, because then she's obviously not, like I said, I'm being selective because I can, heck, I got, honestly, after this call, I'm going on a walk downtown with a really nice girl. So, so you know what I mean? So things are going pretty well. And, a lot of that becomes from that, from what we went through is once you understand these things, they do make you feel more confident and secure, in your understanding of relationships, and it doesn't seem so tricky, and so complicated, anymore. So, but that was the second one. I know I've been jumping all over, but the fear was definitely, once I realized that it's just an illusion and you can overcome that, and things work out. You end up keeping what you fear losing anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the dragon wakes up and burns down the girl. She's like, oh my God, this guy's crazy. This guy needs me. I'm gonna run away.
Right. Right.
So we need to, slay that dragon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, one thing I want to share, because as it relates to fear, for people to understand, is that once you really understand it, you see that you cannot lose the right woman for you, and the woman who you can lose is not the right woman for you. There's a lot of depth in this phrase, so the people watching, you can reflect on this. But if you understand this, you start realizing that if my wife can leave tomorrow, then she's not the right woman for me. So why would I be afraid of losing not the right woman for me? Because
Right.
if she can leave, she's not the woman. The only woman that I want to be with is the one who wants to be here. So then I can just sit like this and be like, you want to stay? Great. Let's have a beautiful relationship because I care about you. I love you. I enjoy this. You want to leave? Cool. I want you to be happy with whoever you choose to be happy, whether that's me or someone else. And you wanting to leave tells me you're not the one for me. There's no alignment anymore. That's what it means, really. So, cool. I feel like you got this lesson because we had, some personal calls as well throughout the work and the whole school, and it was great. So what is the third one?
All right. Well, the third one was, well, it all sums up to the joy, to following that joy. And that third lesson was really, put yourself, you, like you said, you have the keys to your own kingdom. You're the designer of your own life. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Don't put your happiness in other people, you really have to create your own, and follow your own things that make you happy in this life. And that ultimately, just it pays off in so many ways. Because when you're doing your thing and following your joy, like I was saying earlier, that's kind of what you put out there, and you attract that happiness and that joy back. Because, it's a positive thing. So, and how can you go wrong when you're doing the things you like to do, So, and and eventually you find someone that will mesh together well with that. So.
Yeah, and right now you're speaking about the second shift, really, the shift from your happiness depending on your partner, on
Right.
the woman, to actually your
Right.
happiness being in your own hands. So yeah, that's a big one. And yeah, go ahead if you want to
No,
explain.
I'd say I apologize, if I'm kind of out of order. I mean, because, obviously we had all that information come at us, and I have
Yeah,
everything still. Once you get it, it just kind of all resonates with you.
yeah,
And,
of
you know what
course.
I mean? So you understand.
No worries. I'm just explaining so people understand,
Yeah,
but
no,
you can
great.
be
I like
random.
that.
Because the thing is, like, an explanation here with the reason why when you do your thing and you're happy with your own life, then you're no longer running after a woman with a beggar mindset of I need some happiness from you. Like, please come into my life so that you make me happy, so that you fix my life, which is, pretty mediocre life. So I need you to make me happy. And even when she's in your life and you know, depend on her, we're like, losing her would mean losing your happiness. Obviously, that's not attractive, because you're in the needy mindset. It's like, hey, give me some joy, give me some happiness. Rather than when you are the designer of your life, like you said, right? This is your life, and you're here to make it the way you want it. Um, and you're doing your thing. You have your direction. You have your happiness, and now, she wants some of that, you know, and she admires you for that, rather than you being, you know, um, hungry for that in her. So this is a big one. I mean, each of these shifts, because there's 4 shifts, right? For people who don't know this yet, each of these shifts, they are, we could say, life changing on their own, right? Each of them, the confidence thing, how you see yourself. Like, actually, I'm gonna ask you what you think about that, like how you see yourself, and then, finding your own source of happiness the right way, and then the fear of loss, and then the boundaries. Like, each of these alone could change a lot, but when you put them together and then you know make them simple in that phrase which we said, follow your joy and so on. I mean, it shifts the paradigm. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, and that's what it has done. You know, that's what I've always been confident in many aspects of my other parts of my life. Um, but always relationships, it was, in the beginning, sure, but then, once I got far into it, that confidence always kind of dwindled, and that's, kind of the pattern I'd always been in. But now, because I'm not, I don't have this needy mindset, or I feel like I need to have this person or that person in my life. Now it's it just there's a lot more confidence to it. Knowing that I'm the one who's choosing. I'm, like you said, I'm the hero of my story, and I'm choosing someone to come into it. And I can be picky if I want. so
Yeah.
and that's just a confidence builder. Yeah, I feel great. After, like I said, prior to that, it was pretty gloom and pretty, good. But the time has passed, and once you kind of really understand it, once I've applied these things in my life, I've even been able to kind of, like I said, preach the gospel and explain these things to other people, and it really does make sense. And you see how that information works in their relationships when they apply it. So
Yeah.
it's
Cool.
quite simple.
So, like I said, like, how did you feel about the first shift, the shift of, like, how you see yourself, your
Oh,
value as a man?
a lot different than I did before. Like you said, we talk, we come back to that confidence, and, about following, your joy and being happy. And a lot of that is, being happy with who you are and loving yourself as a person. And when you are out there actually doing the things that bring you joy, I mean, that's kind of what you're doing is loving yourself and being good to yourself. And it's made my value as a man is, it's a lot higher than it was before. So that's how I feel, anyways. I don't
So
know if I'm answering that question right, but yeah, I mean, I'm definitely feel
you cannot answer it wrong. That's the first thing. But the other thing
right.
is, what you're saying sounds a little bit kind of cliche-ish, and I feel like people would not really understand. So, um, what from our conversation, maybe there's a metaphor you want to share, or what from our conversation on confidence or inner confidence, on that first shift, on not putting our value, not depending on her to feel good about ourselves, right? What
Right.
from that helped you see yourself in a more correct and truthful and valuable way?
Um, I guess I'm not really sure. I'm trying to. I guess, like you said, that did kind of sound cliche, that answer, but I don't really know. To be honest with you, Livius, I just that information in itself, it was, or I should say, understanding in itself, is really kind of what it took. I guess I want to say took to really, like, to make me understand that I'm kind of tripped up. Question, I guess,
Yeah, no
is,
worries.
but like I said, yeah.
No worries. I mean, I can explain kind of for you. I can answer for
I mean,
you. But because here's the thing, I remember you laughing really hard when I gave the metaphor of the rabbit. You know.
oh, yes, yes, okay, yes,
So
I understand.
yeah, because we were talking about, because we all walk around feeling like it's not okay to be who we are. Like we're not good enough. We don't deserve to be loved. Like wishing we could
Right,
be someone else. So that metaphor was really pointed at, if every human would be like a version of an animal. Someone is a tiger, someone is a rabbit, someone is a, I don't know, elephant. So it's really like owning the animal we are and not being, if we are a rabbit, for example, not being ashamed of being a rabbit, and really knowing that the right woman for us is also going to be attracted to rabbits, right? And unless, if she's a lioness, she's not the right woman for you. No matter how much you think she's going to make you happy, her not liking you as the rabbit, for example, it means she's not a good fit for you, because the only woman you want for yourself is someone who adores your version. So yeah, so that's like kind of me explaining it, but
yeah. No, I understand your question now. Now that you kind of went in that, now I know what your question is. Yes, I think the thing that, like what you're explaining is, and I think the term I like to use, like you said, is your flavor. If they like
yeah.
your flavor, and that's kind of that's the term I use when I talk about that. So now I understand what your question is now. Yeah, that's probably the point of what I realized, that it doesn't matter what kind of flaws I have or who I am. That I am who I am. I'm on my own journey, and I'm at a different point than what somebody else is. I don't compare myself to other people, and because they're on their journey at their point, and yeah, maybe they have more, and it doesn't matter, or less. None of that matters. It's all about how happy we, and that what we have to give to this world is who we are and just being ourselves. And I think the biggest thing that stuck with me is it's not about impressing someone. It's about expressing who you are. And that will ultimately filter out who's, going to like your flavor or not. So yes, that's kind of, I get what you're saying now. So, and that's really what what I'm the I am who I am, and somebody will like that or they won't. And it doesn't matter either way.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, the whole interview is just worth listening to that thing, to that, what you just said now. So really cool, man. Really cool.
Well, and that's an understanding I wouldn't have had previous, to actually, taking the workshop and in school, in the journey. And, obviously there was a lot more to it, and we have, there's a lot more gold nuggets that, in that whole journey. But yeah, that's, like I said, that was a big one. Thank you.
Awesome, Chris. Awesome. So, let me see. Was there something else for you anything else you want to share before we slowly wrap things up?
I just want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for doing what you do. I've turned on a few people to your, to the relationship paradise, and that that really makes sense, and maybe it won't make sense for everybody, but for me it did, and it just clicked, and I just want to thank you. So
this is awesome, man.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really it, man. So where were you at in my late 20s, early 30s? That would have probably been a little more helpful, man. So,
Cool.
all right, man. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, you're the kind of man who is an example of someone who's looking for answers, and actually uh, committing to finding them. And once you find them, then it seems so easy. So, uh,
It really does.
congratulations for having, the balls, like when you had to make the decision to sign up or not, or when you were even like booking that call and, having that conversation with me. And like I could see your motivation, your commitment. I mean, that's like a clear sign that this person is ready. So yeah, it was a joy having you in the group, and I my hope is that you're gonna keep preaching that gospel. I mean, not because you have to preach something, but because people need to hear that there's a different way to live life, to approach relationships, and feel better about themselves.
Yeah,
You know, so
man.
cool.
Life changing stuff. Thank you.
And I want to hear, what happens with you in a few months, years, wedding invitations and stuff.
Awesome. Definitely. You're on the list.
Cool. Cool, dude.
Nice. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for this opportunity. So,
Awesome.
and I just want to say, I hope that if there's anybody else out there who really is like looking for those answers, I hope that they do it. They find them, basically, because like you said, it seems such an easy thing once you understand it. So,
They will at their own pace, at their own time. They
yep,
will.
yep.
Everybody will.
When the alignment's right.
Yeah. Could be
Thank,
sooner, but
yeah,
it's really up to everybody's readiness.
yep.
Cool, man. So
Thank
thank you for having this call. Uh, awesome. So
you. Yep.
yeah, man.
We'll see you later.
Yeah, we'll catch up.
I'll keep in touch. Thank you, sir.
Cheers, Chris.